How long gone? What up?
What up?
Chris Black. I'm back in the United States of America. I'm in New York City. It's been a couple hours. So far, so good.
Unbelievable.
It's truly unbelievable. Them jeans. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Just in the middle, balls deep, right in the middle of a three-peat pod recording week because we have some travel coming up. But what a great diverse musical week that we're in. I'm feeling great.
Thank you.
What else? I'm working out. I'm gonna do some.
Just thank you to everyone who got in touch with me to let me know they were really impressed with our sort of wherewithal when our last guest gave us absolutely nothing. And I said usually when someone gives us absolutely nothing, I don't like it, but this time for some reason I loved it. And I think it was actually so fun. I don't know what got into me, but Cass wasn't really giving us much, but I think he had a good time too. Is that your feeling?
I think he had a good time. I think it's one of those situations where to him that was like doing, Kill Tony level of fun. But then the way that it's projected out onto, the audience, one could easily confuse that for lack of interest or desire to be there. But I think he's just he said he's a self-proclaimed grumpy guy, just sort of across the board, day-to-day basis, in a Larry David kind of curmudgeon way. But he also is sometimes a man of few words, but he's a giggler. He's just a weird guy.
Yeah, no, it's true. He gave us more than he had to, considering what I was expecting. Based on reputation, but whatever. Look, it was fun.
Not every battle is easy, but we got the fish in the boat, and that's what counts.
That is what counts, Jason. You've always got your eye on the prize. Yeah, I
love fish.
We put out the TJ's blend today with Pure Beauty. You can go buy that anywhere you live on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, you can buy it on their website, and I'm pretty positive that it's DTC, like legally ship it to you, wherever you are in America. So have at it, y'all. Enjoy it. Like I said in the description, it's something you can have a little bit before you work out, before you hike, a little Pilates, do some squatting. You can also hit it before bed, go night time. It's all there. Has a little
night.
I usually don't like weeds that have, or like hybrids or combos or blends that have CBD in it, because what's the point? You know what I mean? If you're taking up valuable real estate in the joint with marijuana that could get you high. You know what I mean?
I get it, bro. Trust me.
but the CBD. His is like an award-winning one that has a 1-to-1 ratio, so it still has
award-winning. All right, can you show? Yeah, please share me. please show me the governing body that gave the CBD an award.
Well, at the very least, the cannabis. Yeah, I know you've heard of the cannabis cup, right, Chris?
Of course, no, that's true. That's true. I've had an issue of high times in my life. That's not out of the question.
I'm not saying they won cannabis cup. I'm just saying that is an award governing board.
Okay. I mean, look.
But I'm going to say probably. I know that they've won awards for sure. It's really good.
I'm joking.
Our good friend Sam Jane designed all the packaging. Revolutionary. What a guy. And then this weekend.
What a guy.
This weekend we're going to be in Austin, Texas. Levitation Festival. And then Friday, you're hearing this today in Austin if you are there. Doing a little ticket giveaway for the club with DJ Python and me. So you can send an email to howlong@resoundpresents.com. The word resound and the word presents. And then first 10 people to send an email get on the guest list for free +1. Send in your emails, come out to the club, me and Python. It's going to be fun.
I can't wait to be there. I'm going to stay up till midnight at least.
Good. You'll be able to see some of us.
Yeah, I'll be able to see 30 minutes of you.
No.
I was talking to somebody about DJing and like how I hear about these guys and where they play and what time they play, and it's literally like they live on a different planet than the one that I live on. It's like
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that being my sort of day in and day out life. But I'm happy that it exists. Of course, I think it's very cool.
I mean, and some of them are in their 50s. You know.
Well, that's because that's because they don't have a choice. That's all they don't have a way out at that point. You know what I mean? Their body and mind is
Well, I mean, some of them are in their 50s, but also, you know, what are they going to do? Quit making $20 million a year,
Well, sure.
touring the world in your
But
private
I'm
jet,
not saying,
and then
I'm not saying that level. I'm saying like I would say a few rungs below that on the ladder.
we're talking about the punter down at the
I'm
pub
saying guys who make a
playing
living.
his cheeky
I'm saying a
tunes.
guy who makes a living, but they're not on a private jet by any means. You know, it's like
Got it.
you know, it's still a better job than many jobs that are on offer.
So you're talking about me. Got it. Okay.
No. You have
I'm just
several
kidding.
income streams. You have several income streams.
Yeah, DJing, but one pedal on the flower of me.
Dude, it feels so good to be back in America. I can never be in Germany for that long again. That is just not.
You don't even care if they have free speech over there. You will still hang out in America, preferably.
Who gives a shit? Yeah, I didn't really watch the Jimmy Kimmel Cry Fest 20-minute monologue where he sort of played both sides a little bit, I guess, which I don't know what we would expect him to do in that instance, but
Yeah, I would play both sides in his Ferragamos.
you play, but we know you play both sides. But I think
No,
No.
didn't mean it like that. No.
I think upon further reflection, I'm like, if I'm him and I really care this much and I'm really this principled and I'm really this much of a bleeding heart, you take the money from your contract and you're never to be heard from again on television. You've made hundreds of millions of dollars. You can still be a producer, an executive producer. You can still develop this and do that. I'm sure you have several production companies. You have plenty of money. If you're really that principled,
Man show reboot.
if you're really standing on business, you walk away. He's kind of doing the opposite of standing on business in some ways.
I would say he's standing on business by not bending the knee. I guess he's bending both knees, but not in a fuck me in the ass kind of way. More of like an Asian squat, so it's sort of neutral still. I think that he, like I said on the last episode, there could be a scenario where he doesn't really have the option, contractually or not, to just up and leave. You know what I mean?
I think
Like,
that if
like
he
not in a like we're gonna break your legs kind of way, or it's not in a casino style shakedown where they're gonna hit him with a hammer.
I disagree. I think they'd love to see him go away.
Maybe so. I mean, maybe they want him to go away, but they can't operate without a Kimmel until they find a replacement, and they just need more time. I don't know.
I don't think they want the.
But do you think that they asked him to cry?
No, I think that motherfucker will cry over anything. I think it's like I think him and Stephen Colbert can cry on demand like a great actor, and luckily, if there's any liberal cause, they're able to shed tears on cue on camera.
Do you think those were toxic tears?
No. I think
Do you think those are like gaslighty tears? You know what I mean?
No. I think he's genuinely a pussy and like like a guy who would cry about something. I don't know. I just like if somebody dies, I get it. You cry. Like stuff like that, like you don't cry over stuff like this to me.
Well, I think you do cry over that stuff, and then you turn 11 or 12, and then you become somewhat of you hit puberty, and then you stop crying about that stuff.
I just don't. The whole thing is like I'm so tired of hearing about it. It's like I can't believe how quickly it took over the news cycle completely. And I don't think we're done. I think it's going to continue in some regard. At least on in our corners of the internet.
I mean, I feel if I was Kimmy, if I was Kimmy Jimmel, he probably got straight up death threats. He was probably shook at home, and
but he gets death threats all the time. He's been getting death threats for 20 years. No, on all these guys. I mean, if you
the death threat SEO huge in the last week, though. You know what I mean?
I don't think that. I think that he really. I think the sad part to me is that he really believes this shit. Like this shit is real to him, and he's trying to sort of deny that he's a multimillionaire celebrity that is known globally by face and sort of pretending to be this little guy that's getting picked on by the president. The president is an idiot and they are picking on him, but he's not some like cowering, you know what I mean? He's not like he's not the underdog to me.
It's like when Joe Rogan will be like, "I'm just a little old comedian. What are you talking?" You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like, dude,
Well,
you're not.
You have more influence than 99.99911.
That's what I'm. That's kind of what I mean. That's kind of what I mean.
Well, I was just presenting that possibility because his tears were almost giving like, I fear for my life style, like, please, sir. Humiliation ritual kind of energy.
I don't believe anything, and I think everybody's doing whatever they can to further their career and their reputation in this instance. Because a guy like Jimmy Kimmel, and even guys like us, like it's not, this isn't like a bad quality, it's just a reality, like want to be liked. That's what that job is. You're sort of like America's fun uncle. That's your entire existence. So if you lose that and everybody hates you, I think it also sends you into a sort of tailspin of like, who am I? What is this? What have I been doing for the last 20 years?
It's hey, these are tough times to navigate if you're the type of person who, when you try to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one.
I think guys like that also who are like, going to Cabo for 2 weeks with Jennifer Aniston in a private plane, like I just don't like. He's been doing this too long to think that to have any like illusions of anything else. Like this is what he does. This is all he's ever done. Like I don't know.
He's the type, like if I was a late night person going through this, Jimmy Kimmel would be the first person I would call because he would know exactly how to handle it. So
that's
he should be handling this.
Yeah, a little better. Anyway, we have a guest today. He penned the national anthem of the United Kingdom. Richard Ashcroft is a singer and songwriter. We love the Verve. We love his solo music. He has a new album coming out. It's called Lovin You on Virgin, October 3rd. The final Oasis shows, which he's been opening at Wembley, are this weekend if you're in London. Anyway, we're really pleased to talk to him. And we're going to ask him about his skincare and hair care routines just to kind of get the real dirt that you guys are looking for. All right, Richard, what's going on? How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, yourselves, guys, you good?
Lovely.
Yeah, we're good. I was just complaining about, I just got back from Berlin a couple hours ago, so I'm feeling rough and ready, if you will.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I've been traveling a bit the last few weeks, months. Yeah, I get that feeling, man.
Your whole life, you mean?
Yeah. Where are you based? Where are you flown to?
I'm back in New York. So it's nice to be home. I can't, but it's still warm here. It's feeling summer-ish, and Berlin was not feeling summerish. So I'm having a little bit of a whiplash situation.
Yeah, New York's you can have some beautiful Septembers. I've been in New York in September. It's a great month for New York, isn't it?
It's the best. You could have the best 2 weeks of your life if God, intervenes. It can be really. Did you ever live in New York or no?
No, I know. I had like a lot of people, not just musicians, but yeah, I did harbor a dream to move there at some point. But no, I've stayed there for a while, a few weeks and things like that, and I love that. I love that place. I mean, obviously, all anyone says is, "Oh, it's changed. Oh, it's not the same," and blah blah blah. But every time I go, I've not been for a few years now. As soon as I got on the street, the energy. I used to change. So originally we'd stay at the Chelsea Hotel when
sure.
And it was still kind of, I think the guy running it was like the son of the original owners, He was asking questions like, how come you guys haven't plugged the amps in the room yet? So the first night we arrived there. So my first night in New York was crazy in a sense that we checked into the Chelsea, and I was in this room called the Snail Suite, and everything was shaped like a snail. It was strange, and I looked out the window, and then I could see the iconic sign, and then like a little marijuana leaf just drifted past my window from above, and Yeah, and we had a flatbed. We had a flatbed truck waiting for us outside the Chelsea. And that night, we went on the back of a flatbed truck, and we just drove around New York, went through the meat markets to Times Square, and we were just jamming on this flatbed truck.
What was this? Was this promotional or was this just for fun?
It was kind of like promotional.
Was this brought to you by Sprite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was brought to us by some substance, God knows what it was, but it was. I think there was a show that night, as potentially even a show later on or something. It was just such a crazy introduction to New York, and like, yeah, that's where it started off. And then I started staying a bit more sort of solo, and then over the years I got more into just staying as close to the park, on the park, really, because that's where it still feels like an intersection of the whole world around there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, take a football down the park and walk down to Strawberry Fields, have a look at the Dakota, and I love that. And that old money sort of area around there. It's like,
I think that they've redone the Chelsea and it's popping again. It's like a full scene in a good way. They did a good job with it. So it's I mean, usually stuff like that just kind of goes away, you know what I mean? Because it just can't sustain itself, but someone, swooped in and saved it.
well, that's good.
Well, hopefully they preserved the snail shapes. I want to know more about.
Yeah.
When you said everything was in the shape of a snail,
Yeah,
what do you? I mean, I want. How detailed was it? Was the bed slippery?
Yeah, had kind of like a shell over it, so you could have like, yeah. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, the whole heating system and everything was archaic. And I remember looking out of because it was quite high up, looking across. That was the first time I saw all the sort of water coolers. And back then, I'm not sure whether the infrastructure of America has really been dealt with anyway since then, but it was quite imagine being brought up on big fridges, cookies and milk, happy days. You guys were showering in the 50s. It took us until about 1989 to get a shower in England, but it was
Sure. We still
it was surprising to see how old a lot of the underbelly really was, and that you see that from the rooftops, you see that in the electrics and the plugs in the Chelsea and the heat, and no air conditioner or anything like that. But it was a real insight into. It was like the matches still had, like JFK on, and it was just strange. It was like a strange at the time, even though it was the early 90s, and you think, well, surely it was so much different by then. But actually, there was still a hint of the 70s. You know what I mean? Or God knows when a lot of this infrastructure was put in. But what was interesting is my last foray into. I don't know if you guys have ever had a drink in the bar in the Mandarin Oriental on Columbus Circle. You must have a drink in that bar.
Actually, no, I have. I know what you're talking about, but no, I haven't.
Well, this thing, it's got a huge plate glass window, and it's kind of on parallel with when the architecture and the skyscrapers stop and the park starts. And you get this amazing sense of just this like tidal wave of buildings just stopping, and then trees and whatnot. And I love this view. And one night I decided, you know what? I'm just sitting in this chair on my own, and I'm going to stay here all night. I'm going to wait until dawn. And we'd been in this other hotel. I won't name it. It wasn't very cool. We got into this one, and it was all like, oh yeah, it was incredible. It was like Fantasy Island or something. And I'm sat there drinking, having a couple of drinks on my own, looking out the view. And one of the guys started hoovering for the next day, and the concierge came over and said, "Oh, Mr. Ashcroft, would you like me to tell him to stop?" And I'm like, no, it's cool. Get it. He's got to do his job. Get on with it. And then it was like, shall we turn the music down? And no, it's fine. Everything's cool. Just cool. So I just sat there and watched the dawn break on New York. And that was amazing. So yeah, I've seen some of the roughest gaffs, not necessarily some of the worst places. I've stayed in some great hotels. The last great hotel I stayed in was pretty funny story, actually, because I think they gave what was Liam Gallagher's room to me by accident, because he recommended this hotel because he'd stayed there before.
Yeah, sure.
So he said, you got to stay in this hotel in Central Park. It's amazing. It's old school. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I was doing a gig with him in Central Park.
I saw that gig actually at Summer Stage. I remember it was pouring rain.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So 2 days before I check into this hotel, I don't think Liam's arrived at this point, and the guy said, "Oh, Mr. Ashcroft," he said, "I'm pleased to inform you we've been giving you an upgrade." And I'm like, "Great, fantastic." Not really expecting anything. Anyway, I end up in this room, and the corridor that is part of the apartment, really, it wasn't really a room, it was an apartment, it was huge, was bigger than most people's flats, in New York, most people's apartments, just the corridor. And I found out it was one of the most expensive pieces of real estate ever to be sold for the last, and it had a triple aspect view over the zoo in Central Park, and it had the craziest steam room you've ever seen, the maddest bathroom, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so because we haven't really met up we've done a few shows, we haven't really met up and socialized really at all. We haven't had time. And he said, do you want to come up to us? Because I've got a balcony. And I was like, mate, I'm not going up anywhere. There's nowhere left to go in this hotel for me. I'm on the top floor. I know. I think your trainers are still under the bed here. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah. And to be fair, he had a very, very nice room with a huge balcony, and that was very, very nice. But yeah, that New York, man, I know we've gone off on that, but it's always worth it because I've recorded in New York, I recorded in studios that they are now chunking, and I've had some great nights and great concerts, and good memories.
Yeah,
really.
It's funny you brought up the Dakota, because over the holidays, my friend had a Christmas party there, and I was really upset I wasn't able to go because I've never been in an apartment there.
Wow.
And it's something I feel like you gotta see especially if you've lived here long enough.
Yeah, I think what people underestimate is just the enormousness of some of those things. You know what I mean? I think Yoko and John, they bought ones that were parallel to them, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, I think there's those kind of. I remember, I think it was The Odd Couple, or something like that. That the '70s, The Odd Couple.
Mm-hmm.
If I was going to live in New York, I was always wanting to live in one of those huge apartments.
Same. I'm kind of working up to that. I have some time. I hope.
Yeah, but in reality, for most of us, we end up being Willy Loman in Death of a Salesman, don't we? In our tiny apartment, because it's pretty expensive, New York, and it only got more and more as time went on. And places, even when I first went there, that were kind of totally undeveloped, just suddenly it seemed within a space of 5-10 years, it was like these properties were multi-million dollars, and they were like no man's land only.
Well, there's nothing left, like
nothing to develop.
Yeah, when I first moved here, I just remember people being like, "Oh, I bought this, in my studio Williamsburg for $100,000. Now it's worth X million,
Wow.
And it's like there's nowhere to go. And if it is, it's so far out. It's like you might as well be in New Jersey. Like you don't want that. Like, I don't want to wait 30 years for this to appreciate. I want to live in the place where I like, it's like, it doesn't make sense to me, but there's not much. And I'm sure that's true about London too, even though London's got the crazy sprawl. Like, I don't, how far can you go, before it's like, well, I'm just living somewhere else at a certain point.
Exactly. Yeah. It happens everywhere. And now there's not enough space left for the artist, because generally the cliche is, and it's normally true, and our young artists find places in a place no one else wants to be. They build a buzz, they build a community, then a few coffee shops open, and then
it's over.
It's like Hoxton over here. Hoxton was like, well, that's where I did the video for Bittersweet Symphony around there. And even back then, 96, 7, it was like, it wasn't really happening at that point, but it was as an artist hub, because the space for studios and etc. was cheap. But then it becomes this thing, and then it's gone. But same with Brooklyn, you know what I mean?
But you live in the countryside now, right? Or do you live in London too?
Yeah, I'm a cliched rock and roller. I've got a pad in town, and some acres in the countryside,
I mean, I think every successful British person we know, that is what you do, right? Why not?
Yeah.
It's the best of both worlds if you can get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which house of yours, the country or the city, is closer to the River Cafe?
The River Cafe in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this one is very close.
Okay, one of them's very close.
Well, I was just in London, and it was the tube strike, and it really fucked up my 48 hours.
Yeah, I was just saying that, I think a couple of big Wembley shows had to get rescheduled with that strike.
Dude, it was like pretty impossible. Like I was like, oh, how bad can it be? And then I was like, oh, it's really fucking bad. It's like really, really annoying. And even if you have a car, traffic is obviously, quadrupled at that point. So it's like it's going to take forever to get anywhere.
Right.
It was brutal. We went to the Wembley show, one of yours.
It was the Sunday show. I forgot what day it was.
But the last two were this weekend?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How do you feel?
No, I'm excited. It's been a crazy summer, really. The Manchester shows, I think we did 5 nights there, and the way the place was set up, it was like a park. It was like when people got there early, so you add up the amount of people, it's over 1.5 million people, over the summer, just with those shows. And it's been unique in a sense of everything's so damn fractured now, and it's one of those rare opportunities where I've said before, like, there's a sense of leaving whatever your differences at the door and coming in for this like huge collective cathartic experience, and you've got the older fans who've lost people along the way. You've got their stories. You've got the younger fans who never had the opportunity. You've got this cross-generational thing that only, say, you really see with kind of like the Stones and people like that. And the younger ones brought a new energy.
Yeah.
And the band themselves, Oasis, almost surpassed expectations. So the whole thing is, it's just faultless, really, and it's exhilarating. I think it's interesting to think of. I've said before where both bands were in kind of what we call transit vans. Ford Transit van in the UK is like your classic. I'm not sure what you call it, Econoline or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Your Scooby-Doo van, and they supported us before their first album came out, and their album took off in the UK and did well in the States. And then obviously they released Morning Glory, and we released Urban Hymns, and now all these years later, when the last note of Bittersweet Symphony fades away, it's half an hour before Oasis, and yet it's the same. Noel wrote those songs, I wrote my songs. The odds of one of us having any song that was kind of a worldwide hit or an album that sold millions was rare, but to have two bands who kind of mates in a way, and it's extraordinary. And it's almost like history repeating itself, because when I first bumped into them, we'd already done our first album, and I was trying to like navigate being in a band where we did a lot of jamming, and I'd try and like arrange a bit, which we try and arrange jams into songs and stuff. And when I first met Noel, or I first heard Live Forever, I thought, I'm really going to concentrate on trying to gain some kind of control over this whole writing of songs thing. I've got to like, I'm going to learn a few more chords myself. I'm going to get really into my acoustic. And that's when I wrote this song called History and a song called On Your Own for an album called The Northern Soul for the Verve. Yeah. And that was my stepping stone. But it was really through the influence of Live Forever, hearing that one song and meeting the guys, playing with them, touring with them. And I thought, yeah, because it was such an inspiration. And I think this summer's almost like going to be a catalyst for whatever goes on for me in the next few years, where, there's glass ceilings on everything. And when you start, no one believes you're going to do it. No one believes you're going to get a record deal. No one believes in it, only yourself. And then you push through there and you push and you push. And then when you reach, say, God knows how old I am now, but I was born in 71. We did the maths. September 71. Whatever, around this period, there is a sort of general consensus that your best days have gone, as far as songwriting. And I always look at people like Johnny Cash near the end of his career, end of his life. He was producing such amazingly like strong, authentic material. And Van Morrison continues to push Neil Young, and if a John Lennon would have lived, and he was still around 80, whatever, I'm sure the last 10 years we'd still be discussing what John was up to. Because you want to know what a mind that you admire is feeling and expressing as they go on this journey. It's not about just, of course, with some people, yeah, that they hit a wall and they never seem to manage to
get past.
Climb.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean, it isn't, but it's not just a absolute fact. And I think this is in this Oasis tour for them and me, and I'm sure has kind of like smashed a few concepts that you get put on yourself about the possibilities. Oh, Oasis were never big in America. All right, then we'll do 2 stadiums in New Jersey and Chicago. And
yeah,
we could have done a whole lot. They could have sold out stadiums all around America if they wanted to.
Historically, music or a lot of things or a lot of artistic pursuits are considered sort of a young man's game, in a sense that, like, if it doesn't happen for you in your early 20s, it's not going to happen, and I think that that's maybe becoming less true, or we're giving people more of a license to sort of keep going, and like allowing for more if it's good. If it's good, we're willing to listen. You
can play the cruise ship if it's less good.
Yeah, there's always a way to make money.
I think nowadays we have a real shortage of like just real rock and roll. And you were mentioning how these shows are cathartic for these people. And at first glance, you wouldn't think a lot of these songs have that cathartic feel. It's it's typically the ballads and like the more emotional ones, but just the catharsis of just good rock and roll being played loud.
Yeah, and also
it just doesn't happen that much anymore.
Yeah, you don't get to hear guitars. I remember seeing I think it was the first time Oasis played in an arena, and I went to see that, and they had an old sound guy who was absolutely unbelievable. And you kind of like, it's rare now to hear guitars in an arena or a stadium anyway. With the volume up to a point where all that guitar starts mushing together, and it's almost like, what is this? The Velvet Underground, the studio? What are all these mad harmonics going on? Which happens with guitar,
bouncing off of all the walls and back again.
Yeah, it takes on another dimension, and a lot of the younger audience, they probably, maybe they've been to see, say, the Foo Fighters or whatever, but there ain't that many bands really that you get to witness hearing just a guitar amp through a PA loud. It's
that's what was so. I think that was what was so interesting about that show to us, because I mean, I try to go see a lot of things at the largest scale, because I think that's when it's sometimes the most interesting, and usually the bigger the scale, the more shit there is besides the music, you know what I mean? And this, I was stunned at the lack of extra shit on that stage. Like it's literally, that could have been there's no, you know what I mean? There's no like pomp and circumstance. It's literally like, these songs are good enough.
It's a little like it. 12-inch amp with a mic set up to it, going through the biggest sound system in the world.
That's the thing. The crowd, the audience, the people decide what's an anthem as well. So there's a big difference between bands that write for stadiums when the audience, almost like, well, this section, they'll all sing this bit back, or I bet you were disappointed that you couldn't jump on a Peloton and charge the Liam and Noel's electricity to get them home or whatever. I'm not poking fun at one particular band, but it gets, this stuff gets ridiculous. You know what I mean? It kind of, but what was interesting is you kind of believe, like, you're led to believe that, like, shit, if you ain't got all the bells and whistles and you haven't got this falling at this point, and people with the bangles on, and that's a great show. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying the Coldplay show's a phenomenal show, and people are getting, quote unquote, their money's worth. But you almost think that, oh shit, is everyone gonna have to like present their thing like with all this, and when you witness that, like you guys said, Liam's got no catwalk. Liam stays in a very.
I love the idea of him having a catwalk, though. I like that. just the word. No, but you're right. He stands in front of the mic and sings the song. I know what you mean. He's not strutting out into the crowd.
And this is what I mean. The majority of those songs, not majority, but half of them, they were playing on the first tour when they supported the Verve back in the day, and they were doing a similar thing. and it's the strength of songs that have grown it to a stadium. Do you know what I mean? It's not like that Noel knew every single damn thing was gonna, oh, this is stadium rock, this is, this is gonna, it was a song that the audience have taken to the heart, and then they give back, which then creates this anthemic feeling. When I wrote like a song, I didn't think, when I finished the song, The Drugs Don't Work, I never thought that I'd be in a stadium and people be singing a song like that along to me. It's in many ways it's not an anthem, in many ways it's not at all, but the people have made it that, you know what I'm saying? And so it is refreshing that you can just stand there, present your tunes. And I think, like I say, the audience gives so much that they are like, it is a symbiotic thing that goes on there. And without them, because they give so much, it's like, you don't need a catwalk and fight like big explosions and pyrotechnics, because that's going off in the crowd. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that's happening. Yeah. That's Jason getting hit with a cup of piss, during the encore. That's the fireworks kind of crazy.
I'm on my hands and knees looking for the bag. I got enough danger and excitement going on.
Exactly.
But I mean, we talked about this a lot on the show after we saw it, but it's also, I think that America just doesn't have anything that could bring people together in that way on like a mass scale. Like at least sports, like maybe the NFL is as close as we get, and I don't care about football, so I don't really consider that. It's like a different.
But that's just America.
I think the thing is, as well, is we're a smaller country. We have a kind of national game. We have our soccer, football. That's our national game, and there's a different vibe with football. There always has been, and I think it's a similar thing where like hip hop has this sort of thing with without being cliche, but it has like it slips into basketball and the culture really, really well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There's like a mutual respect among the players and the fans, and
also an admiration and the clothes, the whole 9 yards. Whereas in the early 90s or the late 80s, in America, you kind of had that thing of like, if you were like into your guitar bands or you were alternative, whatever, you weren't a jock.
Yeah, completely separate.
Exactly.
Yeah, completely separate.
Whereas here we have that symbiotic thing going on again, where the clothes, the culture, the vibe,
it's like intertwined.
It's intertwined, whereas it's a bit more fragmented. And I think obviously we lived through a period where music became so genreified and separated. It was difficult for good stuff to penetrate different audiences, because that audience was literally being peppered with what the tastemakers or the programmers of the radio at the time believed that audience should be hearing. We didn't have like, even in the UK, when I was like pretty young, I mean, I think we took in the national radio station, he said to the radio plugger, the guy brought in a record of mine, and he said, "You will never hear again Ashcroft, a Gallagher song or a Allburn song on this."
Like we're all set on this, bro. We've done it. We're good. Like we're not playing this.
Like how Disco Sucks happened in the 70s.
Yeah, because I think it was anyone over 30. I take hip hop as an example. You've got great New York radio shows. They might have some hot kid come up who's 19, 20 years old. They'll play his record. Yeah. But if they respect a dude in his 40s or early 50s and he's just come up with something interesting, that'll be on next.
Yeah.
So the culture feeds itself from the youth, from the greats, and it becomes this one narrative. Whereas like with our culture, in a sense of rock and roll, rock, alternative, there isn't the same, I wouldn't say respect, it's just there isn't that central place anymore where people go and hear these things from people of all ages, whatnot. There's not that kind of
Yeah, I mean, I think in the heyday, the only thing, I mean, it was college radio would be like that a little bit, but otherwise,
Glastonbury, maybe.
yeah. I wanted to ask you though, because of there's so many iconic photos of all of you guys playing football. Who's actually good? Like, who can actually really play, and who just looks good in the jersey?
Yeah. I'm not sure actually. I mean, I stopped playing for a while, and then I went back into playing five-a-side in about 5-10 years ago, and I really enjoyed that. And I realized I was better then than I was when I was young. When I was young, that's all I wanted to do is be a foot. When I was very young, it was like I'm being a footballer. It's a cliche, but there are those couple of routes into wherever you dreamland, and it was generally football, and if not music, or music if not football, whatever. So I'd say I'm probably the best player out of any
You're like, I'm probably the best player of any musician,
any non-professional. I've got an advantage. I'm left-footed. You see, we have
You're left-footed. You're tall. You're long and lean. You're
like
a bit of a killer. Did you ever play over at Rod Stewart's house in Beverly Hills?
No. That would have been nice to play at Rod's. Yeah, I mean, Rod has always obviously been a keen, passionate footballer, and again, actually, think about it. The Faces, when you see the old footage of the Faces playing live, that seems to have tapped into some of that stuff early doors. You know what I mean? The way, it's quite Oasis like the vibe.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't done that. I played a great charity game at Celtic. There was literally 54,000 in there. I didn't play for that long, but it was
I got a little bit of time, but there's a lot of people there, so it's fine,
Yeah, I got a few heavy challenges in and blah blah blah, but it was such a great experience because I'm a Manchester United fan and I was representing Manchester United in this game, and it's an incredible experience. But looking back, I have met a few athletes athletes, obviously, when they get into the tail end of their careers, they look at musicians and artists who can carry on, and there is such a absolute. They're like, it's all right for you, I've literally met rugby players who've said that, who were coming to the end of their career, and they're like, you can just carry on, man.
Yeah,
I've been getting this adrenaline rush every week for like 15-20 years, and then it just bang, it's gone. We lost a great boxer actually in the UK a couple of weeks ago, Ricky Hatton, and he died, and he was troubled with that, with a lot of depression after he had 2 defeats in America, and literally 30,000 fans came over to watch his fights in Vegas, and he felt what kicked his depression on was this feeling of letting people down. And I think those guys, they don't get enough, I don't know what it is, help or aftercare after their careers, because it must be so. It's like me doing these shows with Oasis, play to 1.5 million people, and then just someone say, "Okay, sorry, mate, that's that.
We're done here." Yeah.
Well, maybe you could do a thing where you and all the guys who are successful musicians still. You can adopt a Wayne Rooney, let him hang out with you for the weekend, not to make a wish, but just, give him a little taste.
That's a great concept, mate. You want to write that one down, you keep that one, copyright that one.
I mean, in America, there's a lot, especially with the rise of like sports documentaries on TV about how athletes are just, you start so young, you make so much money, it's only downhill from there, basically. Like there's no, like, you're broke by the time you're 30 if you do it wrong, and then you have all these injuries. It's not really, you're right, it's just not sustainable.
It's I mean, it is tough in the sense of, I kind of thought that when I first ever, the house I got in the countryside, the publishing company knew they were going to get a load of money in, so they kind of lent me, and I bought it, and I just thought, I'll try my best not to mug myself off. And the reason why I haven't lost everything is probably because I've been married for 30 years. I've had, my wife used to have to lend me money for cigarettes type thing, and so we've seen it. we've seen it all.
I was gonna ask you about that. Being married for 30 years in your business is impressive. If you have any insight to impart on a couple of young bucks, we would be very. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear any tips that you might have.
Yeah,
You just got to find a cool chick, man. That's all it is.
yeah. That's the priority number one. Obviously, if you find the right person, you're lucky enough to find someone who will put up with you for that amount of time and grow with you. My thing was with my wife as well. After a few years of being married, I was solo at that point, and my wife was in a band prior to our marriage, and so she was with me playing keyboards as well, and we traveled together. And when we had kids, they came away, and then I took a few years off. I think that's it. Really, is my game. You have to make some difficult choices, really, in a sense of I could probably be, much more elevated and quote unquote successful as a musician. But would I be married? Would we be living together? My kids are grown up, but they're still here now. They're downstairs as we speak. They're doing their thing, but we're still together. And I think that was through not just every now and again going, all right, folks, I'm off for
Sure.
6 months.
Yeah.
So, sorry about that. And we don't recognize each other when we get back. Things have gone down. I don't relate to it. That's generally the thing that happens in my industry. I can't speak for others, but it's really that whole thing of just being separate too much and getting a bit greedy with yourself, your ego, your necessity to push your thing to its, whereas with God's grace, I can still do it now. And now they're kind of grown up. So I'll probably be doing stuff over the next 5 years, 6, 7, who knows that I would have been doing then, because now it's not a case of with me and my wife, I want to go on tour, I want to do this. Other than the dogs, the kids can look after themselves. You just got to find someone. And luckily we found someone to help with our dogs and whatnot. So the responsibility isn't quite as intense.
Yeah, it's heavy. Yeah.
So I think, again, going back to it's just, I was lucky to meet a truly fine woman. And like I said, we kind of made an effort not to drift into I'm just pissing off for 6 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that is part of the job to some extent, but if you can figure out a way to sort of make it work.
Yeah.
Also, your wife was in Spiritualized. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So let's not bury the lead. She was in a cooler band than you guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that goes without saying. She's always been cooler than me anyway. Do you know what I mean? In a sense, like,
which is a crazy thing to think of, you being known as, one of the cooler people alive.
Yeah. It's a funny word as well, though, isn't it? I think it's like, it's more like a grace. It's more like, I'm the idiot who became the lead singer. I'm the one I was the one doing the interviews. I was the mouthpiece of the band. I'm the one, so there's a certain amount of, what would you say? It's not necessarily persona, but you do need to have some other element.
Yeah, totally.
If you're gonna do that and do it successfully, but if you've got that, then you're not as cool as the keyboard player. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Cool as the person who sat quietly on the. I learned a lot from her in that respect. You don't always have to be filling in the void. You know what I mean? You don't always have to be the loudest dude in the room. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's the advice I need to hear. So thank you. That's actually that's close to home for me personally.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Well, you guys do a podcast. You're always voids are an anathema to you guys. Silence is not what you.
It's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, we could all bring it down a couple notches, though.
Oh, always. I wanted to talk about leather jackets a little bit too. I feel like you're a connoisseur of the format. And what do you look for? What would you say is your number one leather jacket of all time? If you had to choose one, and do you still have it? Do you have an archive? Do you have a lot of the stuff from over the years?
Well, I still got my one that I wore on Bittersweet Symphony, but I'm very surprised I wore it because I'm not necessarily a collar. It's got a collar on it. It's got like a thing
you want that. You want like that collar. You want like
I like
motorcycle.
I like it more like this, like the Sherman Maui type.
Yeah.
Round. This one has like on Bittersweet, and I look at it every time and I think, why did I wear that one? You know what I mean? I was happy with boot cut corduroys, happy with the and I made them put the wallabies on. I said, you want to start this whole video with my Clark's wallabies, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, just understand me, just do it.
Yep.
I mean,
Front of the album, I was on holiday before we did the album shoot in Mallorca, and there was these knockoff Clark's wallabies called dingoes. So I thought, oh, these are cool. I'm going to buy these dingoes. And I wore the dingoes on the front of the album sleeve, and Clark's thought that they were Clark's. So Clark's were giving my family at Christmas. They were like, oh,
whatever you want.
And I didn't want to break it to them that they were dingoes, some rip off Mallorca, you know?
No, just let them go. Let them go.
Well, this has been my summer purchase for the Oasis tour. This one's by Celine.
Okay.
And this one's real nice. And I got another one for these Wembley shows. I thought, you know, I went for a period of I went a bit crazy when I did have the opportunity to start buying decent clothes. You know what I mean? And then
Sure.
Uh,
You may have overspent a little bit. You went a little crazy.
a little bit. And then recently, last 10 years, I've just, you know, it was a period where I wouldn't really look at what had gone on until I didn't want to know.
Sure.
I might have half glanced in the hotel room, you know, really? Bloody hell. But there was a period over the last 10 years where there's a big department store called Selfridges. And
Of course, the greatest department store in the world.
yeah, for the first time, I was starting to really look at the labels on these, like on a cashmere cardigan. I'm thinking, hang on, I could buy a car. I could buy a car with this.
All right, so you're saying in the last 10 years you started to look at price tags on clothing. I'm glad this growth.
Yeah, just kind of like out of really, do I really want that? Because ultimately, I'm a mix of, if the t-shirt feels nice and this, that, and the other, I don't care if I got it from the supermarket. Do you know what I mean? If
Sure.
it's a cool white tee, nice black t-shirt, I don't need it to be a label. But what I realized is over the years, when I did buy good pieces, nice quality things that were well made, that even though I'm terrible at looking after things, some of these things I can put a jacket on that I bought 25 years ago, and it's still like, wow, you know, this thing's incredible. Like, so for certain things, like you say, the jackets and whatnot, if you've got the opportunity, yeah, why not? And I bought wife got me one for my birthday, actually. Is insane, because I've always wanted a really nice hooded black with a hood, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is absolutely insane. It's like, this is the softest damn thing I've ever felt in my life.
That's nice. It's easy to shop for Christmas and birthdays for, you know what I mean? There's kind of
For
a
me,
couple
yeah.
zones for you that we
It's
know we
become
can.
it's become a bit of a thing though. Me and jackets and coats, it's a bit like Liam. I know it has with Liam, but it's become like, along with sunglasses, I've kind of like, forget Elton John. I swear to God, I've bought more than he's ever had. And,
But are you aviators only?
no, not only. No, I mean, what are these ones? I don't know. Yeah, so these are Tom Ford, big, huge, like
That when
crocodile.
I think of you and sunglasses, that's what I think of. You know?
Yeah, I do like them. I basically, when I was doing a few front covers in the 90s, it was Gucci, actually. They created these, and I actually spoke to a guy from Gucci X amount of years ago, and I'm saying, do you know one thing, you guys, in your relentless need to create a new season's clothes, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you forget that over the years you've made something classic, and that's quite rare. So you could only buy these aviators for 1 year,
One season, even. Yeah.
yeah. My wife she changed them into sort of glasses. She got them changed, and the frames were absolutely incredible. And yeah, they were the number ones. I did the front cover. There's a magazine called The Face in the UK back in the day. The Face,
Of course.
they did a retrospective a month or two back in London on all the front covers, and I looked at it, and I'm the only one who's wearing sunglasses on the front of The Face, not a single, because it was a huge thing. If you went to do a front cover of a magazine and the photographer's popping away and you keep your shades on, at first they would say it straight away, but the more and more, so it became the glasses thing is, you know, obviously I don't think I'm like Don Johnson in Miami Vice, and I understand that thing, oh, he's got shades on the inside. No, it becomes this kind of battle of wills. as in a sense of, it's a bit like
Anna Wintour.
I'm sure people still said to her, can you take glasses off of this shot? And she says, no. Would you ask Roy Orbison? Would you ask whoever? It became this battle of will, and it me doing most of my stuff and stuff with shades on, because I thought it's a real simple way of making something iconic, but it takes time. You've got to be in it for the long game. You know what I mean? You're not going to pull it off.
You got to wear sunglasses in pictures
Yeah.
for 20 years, and people will really start to.
Exactly.
There are certain people where you can tell them, where like I can tell that person to take these glasses off for the shoot, and then there's some people where no photographer in the world is going to touch it. Chris likes to wear sunglasses, and sometimes he'll get the call from upstairs that, you know.
Yeah, I've gotten the call from upstairs a few times. I feel like I have an issue of Dazed from that era that you're on the cover of. It's like a black and white picture, and you're not wearing sunglasses.
That's true. That's true. That's just pre the transition into sunglasses in
this is okay. So you're saying this is pre.
I'm looking at the face cover right now. It is September '97.
Yeah,
featuring Hanson, Cool Keith, Lemmy, Patricia Arquette Portishead, and the Verve, and you're looking good.
The Gucci frames. Yeah,
I went to that face retrospective, and it was
right, cool.
That magazine, like you could get that obviously when I was like in high school. You could get it at Barnes and Noble or one of like the big bookstores, so it was like pretty available. But seeing it all in one place like that was very cool. I think they did a really good job, especially with like the sort of music, like sound design element. I wasn't expecting that part of it.
Oh, I was listening to the new record this morning, and you had a lyric that I wanted to ask you about. The cave is where I need to be. I wanted to know if you could describe this cave, if you have a literal cave at home, and if you're in it right now, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a multi-level thing. I think I got really inspired years ago by this. There's a great book on St. Francis of Assisi's life, and it was quite mind-blowing to me. I had no real understanding of his youth, and, you know, he was kind of obsessed with the knights that he'd see passing through town and wanted to be a knight, and he was a bit of a Jack the Lad, you know, and when he started in sackcloth in this donkey shed, sort of pigsty next to it. And what was remarkable about him was that his first sort of followers were, some of them were like some of the richest people in the area, landowners that just sold everything and just put on the sackcloth and would sleep in a circle in this thing. And the book then went on to talk about how he would go off into the hills and go into the cave and find that time to meditate. And he was obsessed with St. Francis was obsessed, they say, with the crucifixion. That was his main obsession, and he's the first reported stigmata ever. And they were actually embarrassed of it at the time. And Claire was another girl. She formed the Paul Claire. She was like a childhood friend. She stitched him these slippers to cover the wounds and etc. But it was this idea of that mythical cave that stimulated something where caves are involved in a lot of like revelation. Do you know what I mean? For people, they are places of contemplation. It's just a place in my mind. It's like it's not a physical cave. It's just a retreat within myself from the madness. Because like some of the album touches on this kind of thing of, there's one Heavy News, and it's like, it's kind of a conversation between two people where one of them is literally drowning in the doom and drowning in the kind of current news cycle that just seems to offer nothing other than, you know, at the moment as a society, you know, if it isn't the endless wars, it's being told that, oh, sorry, folks, there's going to be X amount of million people unemployed in about 18 months. Don't worry about it. Hey, you know, AI is going to be fine. You know, we'll find something for you to do. Don't worry, etc. And I think, you know, there's a point where people just get overloaded with information, and most of it's negative. So the cave is my mythical place. Like, I haven't really got a cave. I did have a little bit of woods with a stream that is really beautiful little thing, but it has this stream running through it. And, you know, I used to walk down there, and there's a very ancient yew tree in the wood with these incredible roots, and I'd sit there and just try and find a moment where you just clear it all out of your mind. And that's the same for like creativity and writing. There's a point where you've got to clear it out your mind, clear it all out, and then wait for, like I say, the revelation, the revelatory moments. They're the moments that can sustain you for years and years and years, is when you have these moments of self-realization and revelation, you know, at the same time. It's so, I think really that cave thing came from the St. Francis story, and also a lot of other religious figures have found that cave, but it's more like a mythical cave. It's a cave within myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you write?
I love
do you
it.
write on guitar or piano or both?
Yeah, both. More guitar really, because I'm just not very. I play very claw-like on the piano, but you know, and like samples as well. So I'll loop something up and then do that kind of thing. But essentially, having finished Loving You and making it as quite eclectic as I can, I think the next set of albums will be, I'm going to go right back to the very true basics. There's a couple of songs on this album that are, you know, recorded in my lounge. You know, a friend of mine did a little bit more work in San Francisco on some of them, but they are very stripped down, you know. And there's a great album by Primal Scream, Screamadelica, back in the day, and Screamadelica was such a record that you could have tracks on it that were just out there, produced by The Orb or Andy Weatherall, and then you could have like a Stonesy ballad next, you know. And I really like that, when something opens up the possibilities for yourself and for the listener and for people going forward, is like the mixture of sounds going right from an acoustic, a vocal, hardly anything, a bit of piano, to a Joan Armatrading sample with synthesizer and not much else. It was the culmination, because of the COVID madness and whatnot. I kind of got put back. So my original intention 4 or 5 years ago was to potentially do an album that was nearly all samples, but COVID came along, but also just the actual reality of trying to do 10 songs that come from samples now, not only financially, but just every other way.
Oh yeah.
The bureaucracy, the red tape, the clearance is generally fine with, and you can come to that deal, but record companies now want like a fixed fee as well for you using it. So if every one of them wanted $20,000-$30,000, we're into $300,000.
How's that gonna work? Yeah.
And you already have some sample clearing trauma yourself, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
We know that. We know that. Absolutely, yeah. So I'm very
so
mindful.
it's a tender subject for you, I can assume.
Yeah, I'm very mindful to get my affairs in order early doors.
Once bitten, twice shy.
That's good advice for everybody.
Yeah,
that's good advice for any musician.
Yeah, because it also what it does though, it stifles creativity and it stops. So you could be taking a piece of music that is probably maybe almost a zombie track on Spotify. You know, it's dormant.
Yeah.
Generations of people haven't heard it, and you're about to spice it up. You're about to re-energize it.
Give it a second life. You know?
Yeah. And yet they don't see that. I don't see why you should. I think you've got to come to your deal with the original writers, whoever owns that. After that, the idea that you would then pay another $20,000-$30,000 for the right to use it is madness, because ultimately someone like me, I just go, do you know what? I've got loads of songs I wrote on my acoustic guitar, man. I don't need to sample anyone.
Yeah, it's
you know, financially, I don't need to be going into 50-50 deals with someone.
Yeah.
I really love that loop of Joan's loop, and Joan's a great person and a great artist, and she likes what I've done with it. And then for me, that's happy days. It's like I'm using a moment of one of your most iconic songs, etc., etc. We're all happy. But when a record company then says, okay, you've sorted the publishing out, we want something. And it's like, I'm going to give you something if you allow me to finish this damn thing. The people hear it and they go, oh, what's the original of that? All right, thank you. So yeah, it's quite
it's bullshit.
Yeah, that sampling thing could die out because of this, and
definitely. Definitely, it has to. I mean, it has that
same reason why they don't film anything in Los Angeles anymore. They just they put too many fees and restrictions and got too greedy, and like you said, hey, I know this is a great drum loop that I found on this old record from the 70s.
Yeah.
I could also pay my guy $500 and have him play it for me, add some dust and crackles, and we're
Exactly.
there. And now you guys get jack shit.
Throw some crackles on that shit. I'm saving
Yeah.
30 grand. Throw
Yeah,
some
exactly.
crackles on it, bro.
You're so right there, man. And also, I think like now I'm left thinking, well, you know, I gave it a good shot. You know, I've got this song called "Music Is Power," and that was a Curtis Mayfield sample, and that was all cool back then. It was just do the deal with the publishing, and away we go. But maybe this will be it now, because you know, if that's the way this is going, then I'm happy. I'm happy because to me it was just an artistic experiment. You know what I mean? Of course, you know, Joan deserves her cut of whatever, and I'm also not a fool, like you said. I mean, don't they understand that that's what people have been doing for the last 20 something years? It's like, nah, let's not bother getting the sample. Just get the dude in and play it. You know, I know people who do that in LA.
Well, yeah.
I know people who on the daily
Yeah,
get these songs. They get given a piece of 70s soul or whatever, and then it's like, right, make it, because I ain't doing the sample, but we're gonna try our best. Now the thing is about that. The only problem with that is there's something in those old records that you can't create.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? So
No, for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's a je ne sais quoi that you cannot replicate, no matter how hard you try. That's for sure.
That's what happened with Bittersweet. You know, people who don't understand the song, and there's a guy who's got like 3 million views, kind of put a video up recently about Bittersweet Symphony, and he's still getting things wrong. He's still getting, although he's delved into it on quite a level, but he's still getting things wrong. And the comments underneath that, I read a few of them, they're still getting it wrong. It's like, look, guys, the iconic riff that starts the song is not the sample. The sample kicks in when the drums kick in. Yeah,
Sure.
The sample is a 60s sounding string loop with a bit of conga. There is a tubular bell in there, something like that. But people think that without even looking into it, well, the sample must be the iconic intro.
Yeah, the best. It must be the part that everybody knows. Yeah, that's a good point.
Surely you didn't play this.
Yeah. So the irony of that the world was drawn into the song before the sample even hit.
And you told that to the judge, and they still said no.
Well, I think I'm a few years away from having complete and utter X amount of years at some point. At the moment, it was the Stones being gracious and signing over their share of the song to me.
Yeah.
And having seen a few of those checks over the last 2 years.
That's why you got that new Celine leather jacket on. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. But I mean, God knows what they were getting when we were selling millions.
Sure, I see what you're saying. Now you're like, I see why you guys held on to this for as long as you did.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But we've all been we kind of like, the beauty of it is the Stones have been screwed big time over the years. And I've got more of a deeper understanding on that now. And also, they really didn't have to do it. You know, this conversation really started around me doing a acoustic version of it, and look, the sample ain't going to be in it. It's kind of going to prove that there's
the core is there,
a song within it without your Andrew Lou Goldman bullshit. And then they just decided, or you know, Mick and Keith just decided together, no, we'll take it.
Did you have a relationship with them at all? I mean, you knew them socially.
I know. I only met them once when I played a couple of shows with them.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I think that helped, because I think leading up to the shows, people were like, you know, there was the odd muttering of, Richard's not going to say anything on stage, is he?
Yeah, the muttering of your management being like, please, Richard, please, not tonight, not tonight. This isn't the time.
So there was a couple of things, was like, maybe not mention that. And also, when I got on the stage, there's this white line at the beginning of the catwalk, and it was like, don't go over the white line. That's
Wow.
not your space type thing.
Don't go over the white line is something that's been said in the Rolling Stones camp many times. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I'm sure.
And there's definitely a little piece of tape on your volume slider on your part of the mixing board too. Do not cross this line.
We ain't cranking them
The
up that
Stones
much.
just sounded louder. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But when you played with Oasis, you guys were very loud as well. I had no feeling where
No.
I thought that they're cutting your volume.
No, that's a good point, man. And that's a rare thing, And I think
It is.
that shows the confidence in themselves. You know what I mean? And I respect that. When you've got confidence in your songs, it's your crowd, for God's sake.
Yeah.
You don't need to handicap me anymore, for God's sake. You know what I mean?
I already. Yeah. Look, I've got Bittersweet Symphony and The Drugs Don't Work. You guys have a few more. You don't need to handicap
I'm
me.
fighting for
Yeah.
my life up here, mate.
Fight for my life. Oh God.
Well, that's what it was like. It was like being bludgeoned. You know what I mean? So I had obviously a limited set time anyway, and when I got to see the full show, like first night, and then a few nights later, I was out of the front watching it. I said to Nat, it's like being literally bludgeoned. I said that it could inspire me or retire me. It was one of them things. Is like, wow, this is like one after the other, song after song after song. It was amazing because I'm like, I come from that kind of competitive sort of streak. So Noel induced that a bit in me as a songwriter when I was younger. Oasis doing everything first sort of was like, right. I said to some guy today, I said, it wasn't Noel's house I was most impressed with. It was just how many beers he had in his fridge. His fridge was huge. And when he opened it, there was like about 55 cans of beer in there. And I'm like, wow. I'm still at the plastic bag.
Sure.
4 or 5 from the office kind of guy. You know what I mean?
So okay, that's the parallel. His beer fridge is like songs. He has a lot of them. Is what you're saying.
Well, that's what he did to me. Yeah, Wembley. He just opened that song fridge and I just drowned it. It was like a tsunami of melody.
Oh God.
Well, I mean, you guys both had great sets. Every song was a hit. There was no stinkers, no I'm going to go get a beer songs. They just happen to have a few more than you guys, I guess. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay. Yeah. Everybody wins from an audience perspective,
Yeah. It was beautiful.
All right, Richard, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure.
It's a pleasure, man. Great to talk to you guys.
Been listening to your music since I was in high school, so I'm glad to see you thriving out here still. It does give us all hope as we age.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Good to talk to you.